Good day and welcome to Lifestyle League, your favorite lifestyle podcast or show, whatever you call it. And today I'm not alone and I'm chilling with my brother, my man, Stanley Khoza.
What's up, Mafokate?
How are you, my brother?
I'm good, and you?
Number one?
Why are you taking me out of behind the scenes?
No, people must know. Remember, there's been rumors and people have been saying, who's this Stanley Khoza? So today we are here to find out who's Stanley Khoza.
Jesus Christ. Look, Stanley Khoza is it's a youngster from Mpumalanga Bushbuck Ridge. Of course, I've been in the music business for 23 years.
23?
23 years, yes.
And we only get to know about you now when a question is raised as to who is Stanley Khoza.
Nah, man, I think, look, those are minor things. Sometimes people who know don't ask. Those who have seen my work over the past 23 years have not asked me about who am I because they've seen the work itself. So if you track back, I started at Big Fish Music. I worked with Sipho Makabane. Together we developed properties such as Lengwe Mhlaba, Tobekile, Tsepiso Mtaung, and Sipho Makabane.
So you worked with Prasipo?
Yes.
What were you doing there?
I was the head of marketing and distribution.
What?
At Big Fish Music, yes. So all the units were pushing. At the time, there was no digital sales. I was distributing physical copies.
So you were distributing at the shops?
I was the person running the buggies myself. I was collecting stock at CDT, going to all the shops across the country. Yes.
I'm shocked. Name a few shops.
Look,
name a few shops.
Ashlam,
I just want.
Ashlam, Reliable, Dakota, Street Base.
Yeah.
Dog, man, the list is endless. And of course, we did not just distribute to already existing shops. We also started shops around the countries. I'll give people in corner stocks. If you had a saloon and I figure there's a potential, I'll give you a speaker and a stock. Kwamhlanga did the same. So in all those platforms where you guys were selling, where your music was distributed.
So you guys were already,
yeah, we were already
you were there as well?
Of course, look, when you're in a gospel record company with the biggest stars and the properties needed like bread, life was easier. So I stayed behind the scenes and I enjoyed working behind the scenes. And I think Sipho Makaps for giving me the opportunity to learn there because that's how I became what I am.
So tell me, hey, and I'm shocked. I thought I knew you. So, because I got to know about you
yes.
at Echo.
Yes.
And I think there were awards in Durban.
Yes.
And I heard that somebody toppled somebody and somebody became the deputy chairperson. That's how I got to know about you.
No, look, when I entered the industry, I started that way back with Big Fish. Of course, worked my way up the industry. I've participated in a lot of great historic moments. I mean, when TS started distributing physical copies, I was the youngster who was working with DJs Boo, Zex, and Kabelo to help them distribute. I think their first product was Ntlantla Ngutuko with Pro Kid Bumpers and the first hip-hop album.
Yeah.
To
but then it was...
thing. Yes.
How many years ago? I remember then.
That was long ago.
When they started their...
2012, 2013.
Yes.
So you fast forward to all these accolades. One then gets into leadership positions. And of course, I've never submitted a CV for any position.
So, but then how do you get into the music? How does Prasipo discover you? How do you end up at Big Fish? Are you from the same town? Are you a musician? Or are you just this smart person behind the scenes?
Look, when I came into the music industry, I recorded my first album titled Tulunga Bacheli.
Tata.
Which I think went on to triple platinum status.
Tata.
And physical copies. So I was independent from the word go.
Yeah. And your stage name?
It was Heavy.
Heavy.
So I built the word Heavy because now it's popular known as Heavy K. Kalabo had Heavy Kusta, the drum boss, now which is now the most popular Heavy K. So I built that brand to what it is. Now, fast forward to me meeting Sipho, so I was an engineer.
Even though it came after Heavy D, ne?
Yes. I was an engineer. Yeah. Heavy D and Soul for Real, so that's where the influence came from.
Yes.
So if you go back to me being an engineer, then Sipho comes to the studio to record. So I was working with a guy called Ringo Mkari, one of the best producers to ever come.
Yes, I remember Ringo. Where's Ringo?
He passed away.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
so
remember.
I
Shame,
was
so
in Ringo
rest in
Studio.
peace.
That's why I learned engineering. So that's why there's no aspect of the music industry that I do not know. You want me to produce music? I sit in studio, I produce music. All the artists that I have, I fine tune and final mix their albums according to the quality of sound I want produced.
Yes. Wow. I'm shocked. Like, I'm actually shocked.
You have
so,
to.
when you were working with Prasipo, where are you based? Are you still in Mpumalanga? Are you?
When I was based in Joburg.
Okay.
At the time, I was already here. We started at number 1 Park Road in Auckland Park. We were on the 3rd floor. Tears was on the 2nd floor at some stage. But we then decided at some point to move. We bought a property at Cumberland in Eastgate. Then we moved in there. That's when, of course, we started. Look, out of Big Fish, you had products like Nandweni Christ Ambassadors that came out, Ushongwe and Kubuka and many others. So the experience that I gained there propelled me to moving to where I am. Now, you fast forward, I've produced my own music. I also produce other people because I sit in studios. I've worked on so many albums. But because I'm not one to sit in public and talk about my accolades, I just enjoy collecting my royalties at Samro, Echo, Capasso, and any other, and keep quiet.
Who are the most notable artists that you have worked with? You mentioned
In the music business.
yes.
Okay, so I'll start with being at Chair as the head of marketing at Chair Sound. I've worked with Oliver Mtukudzi, Brahima Sikela on the album Playing at Work. Oliver, with Bra Oliver, the late Oliver, may his soul rest in peace. It was the album Saraoga. Angie Stone, may her soul rest in peace. Got an opportunity to work on promoting Glenn Lewis's album at some point. I did AKA and Matthew Gold when they were starting the song No Ordinary Guy. But apart from that, I've also produced a range of talent. Currently, my biggest being Yamke, which is the most trending thing in the country.
Which one?
Yamke.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So at least recently you can mention something
No,
that everybody can see and say,
every
yeah,
year-
we know he worked there.
No, every year for the past 10 years, I've collected an accolade. A year before, it was Zuko SA, we bagged Best Metro FM Award.
I'm still going to come back there because, when it was on social media as to who you are,
Yes.
what you want in the industry,
Yes.
you couldn't even defend yourself.
Yeah.
And no one stood up and said, but this guy has long been in the business.
Yeah, I got emotional when I read the tweet. But one person said, if you know the truth about who you are, don't answer. Only time will answer, So I remember I had written what I wanted to publish, but I was called to order to say, Stan, sometimes don't give life to things that don't have a meaning. I've matured as a youngster in business. And I've always respected everyone, hoping that everyone will respect me. But if people choose to question my credentials, which a mere Google can tell you, what is it that I do, what have I done, it's a bad thing. But I hold no grudge against anyone, man. That's just how people are.
So how do you become the deputy chairperson of ECHO?
Look, so obviously, for you to be a member of ECHO, you need to own an independent record company. I own 2.
What is ECHO?
ECHO is the Association of Independent Record Companies of South Africa, which is a platform that represents independent labels and their business futuristic goals in the sector. So I joined ECHO, I think, around about 2014, 2015.
That's why I say I was at the awards. I remember.
Yes, you were at the Summer Awards when we were at an AGM. Yes. So I joined ECHO, of course, through my label, Big Punch Media. At the time, I think the biggest record I had out was Begazel. So I joined ECHO. I've got, I think, 4 or 5 albums at the time in the label. And then...
but who recruits you? Who nominates you to be part of that?
Who
who thinks about Stan?
It was the ECHO members.
Okay.
So that's why I said to you, I've never submitted a CV to any structure in the industry. If anyone can say he brought a paper, I can ask them to show it today to the world. I've never submitted the CV. Now this is what happens. So I go to ECHO. I, of course, become a member. We're going through my catalogs. At some point, I think the organization itself was going through its transitions and challenges. I come in, of course, with the depth of experience and knowledge of the sector itself. I participate in assisting my friends in trying to reform the organization into what they want it to be. And fast forward, there was a call for an AGM. In the process, I then got, when every organization publishes a notice that you go to an AGM. So it was the first time, actually, I go into an AGM. I had no idea what
An AGM is and how it operates.
So I'm going there, but as you go into an AGM, you've got a lot of stories going up and down. You can see the scams. So I was just there. I guess people have an opportunity when they know talent, they can see you. When you are quiet or when you make your contributions at an AGM, they're like, no, man, I think there's something that we can get from this young.
Yeah, because I remember getting the list of who got appointed.
Yes.
And I asked, who's this Stanley Khoza?
Look, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
All of you ask the same question. Everyone keeps asking. That's why I named my first album Tulunga Bacheli. I don't like publishing what I do. I just like the work to show for itself. So, of course, we get nominated. Even when they were nominating, I was told, hey, yeah, now they raise hands. No, we nominate Stan. He must, do you accept or you decline? I'm like, okay, I accept. Then we go outside, they choose, because obviously there are different roles. There was chairperson, there was deputy, treasurer, and all that. So that was my first learning experience of running an AGM. And I will always appreciate that moment. Now we come back. Now there's the responsibility of leading one of the biggest opportunity for the South African independent labels. Now you need to learn fast how to run a CMO. You need to learn fast how to understand advocacy and negotiating with government, fighting for the rights of people. And of course, I was thrown into a swimming pool because I arrived at the center of the organization when it was hot at the time.
Yeah, I mean, some of us have been there and we were leaving.
Yeah, so
in fact, we had already left.
Yes. So I relied more on my industry street cred to calm the storms and, of course, to work with the team. When you've got a board so dedicated, everyone is looking for solutions. It was quicker. So I think the induction into running an organization started there. And of course, being at an organization like ECHO, you'll then get given a mandate to sit in different structures. And that's how I ended up at Moshito.
What is it that you would say you have learned at ECHO?
Yeah. I think what I learned at ECHO is resilience. And being able to understand that not everyone will like you, but you need to stick to what is important and serve your mandate and your constituency. And if you do that, only time will absolve you. So that's what I've learned from ECHO.
But would you say the industry needs an organization like ECHO? Because it's an independence organizations, obviously.
Yes.
All labels that are independent are meant to be there.
Yes.
Some of us have been there and we've been on both RISA and that.
Yes.
But, there's one officially recognized, which is RISA when it comes to ISRC codes.
Yeah. So look at it this way. In life, and of course in South Africa, you're governed by a constitution which recognizes right of affiliation. So you cannot have one. That's why you've got multiple organizations that represents almost the same set of rights. So having an organization like ECHO, I think it was a national gift to the independents because they had their reasons why it was formed. And of course, if you look at the achievements that ECHO has achieved over the years and becoming a CMO, with its own constituency, and being able to play a role in developing many independent record companies within the sector. I think for me that has been the greatest benefit. When it comes to issues of ISRC codes, those are what we call international standard recording codes. That's why any person, you don't have to run a record label to have an ISRC code. As long as you've got the right to release audio works or visual works, you can apply for an ISRC code. That is issued by a company called IFPI in the States. In South Africa, we've got RISA, which is an agency that distributes the codes, but anyone can access the codes.
But with music being too much on digital now,
Yes,
one would say, and there's a call by artists,
yes,
you know, they are starting to question as to why do we have to have Echo and still have Risa? Because almost every hit maker in the country is independent.
yeah. Look, as long as you've got music videos in any country, there will always be a role for, I won't speak much of any other organizations except the one I wear the hat for. There will always be a room for Echo because we collect audiovisual royalties. And one of the beautifulest thing about us is that we've invested in all our members, and we always continue to make sure that we open up a fund for creation of more music videos, because the more they are played, the more we collect, and that's how they make a living.
But one would say there's Sampra.
Yes, which collects needle time.
Yes.
We
And one
collect
would say
audiovisual.
you, oh yes, you are
Yeah, it's
competitor to
audio,
Rev.
yeah, it's
Yes.
audiovisual
Then one
royalties,
would
yeah.
say, why is Echo still collecting those when there's also still Rev? Why can't they just come together? They are all
Yeah.
in this small country, but everybody wants to go their separate ways.
We used to think like that as well. I was part of the people that said, why can they be men? But until I realized that it's a constitutional duty to have a right of representation.
Why?
And right of association. So look at it
Like
this
the
way.
difference in percentages?
No. So look at it this way. You've got EFF, you've got IFP, you've got ANC.
We are not
and
in
DA.
politics here.
No, we're in music.
Yes.
Even in music, it's like that. It's not politics. It's just how the country is structured. If you are not happy there, you are happy with a Rev, you stay at Rev. If you are happy with Echo, you stay at Echo.
But I'm sitting at home and I'm an artist, I'm saying, wait a minute, this is not making sense. Why is it that when there are music awards, there's South African Music Awards,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes,
which are run by Risa?
yes.
But when it comes to my royalties, why are there too many organizations? There's Echo, there's Risa,
Yes.
they both collect for audiovisual royalties, and you guys also, as Echo, have started another, I don't know if it's a subsidiary company, which is Impra, collecting needle time royalties, and here we've got Sampra. Why is it difficult for all of you to come together and form one collecting society?
Look, this is what I like. Because at one part...
Because having the democracy is something else.
No. Here's what I like. At one part, you sit in the board of the other structure. So I
Yes.
want to...
And I've sat at Echo.
yes.
I've been at Echo.
Yes.
I've been at Risa.
Sure.
Yes.
So
I know both. Hence, I'm asking you now.
Yes.
I'm challenging you guys. I'm posing this question to all of you. I'm going to get them to sit on the chair. Trust me, I'm going to ask them the same question.
Yes.
Because having to sit on boards is the same as what you said.
Yes.
But I'm still an artist after all.
Yes.
I'm an artist before I sit on a board.
Yeah, so let's fix this part. So you started by talking about the Summer Awards. So the Summer Awards are coordinated by Risa. And
you support them as Echo.
Yeah, so the Summer Awards are coordinated by Risa. Now there's a difference between Risa and Rev.
Yes.
One is a collecting society.
Yes.
One is an advocacy, it's a trade federation, which deals with projects such as the Summers and many other things, including charts for that matter. Now, Echo has got what is called Echo Audiovisual, which deals with issues of collecting
So you're now
royalties.
saying the responsibility
Now-
of Echo is now audiovisual only?
No.
Exactly.
I'm saying to you, there's that one part of the aspect, which is the CMO part, which deals with collecting royalties. Then there's the many other projects that Echo manages. I heard you speaking of Impra not so long ago, that
Yes.
Echo created Impra, which is a beautiful organization that deals with collecting needle time royalties. So that's a sign of growth, I think, for any...
How is it growth? For me as an
any
artist, this
organization.
confusion is not growth. How is this growth?
Look, here's what we must appreciate in the country that we live in. Growth is when you begin to be a parent that has got kids and you see them growing and starting to bear fruits. That is growth in the music sense. Now, when you look at where we are as an organization, our goals are far much bigger than just collecting audiovisual royalties.
Tell us about them.
Look, we more now into content. We want to see 100% of South African documentaries being told and shared in various platforms, because we've realized that our history is not well documented. And apart from that, that's why we've got the audio subsidy scheme, which deals with funding music videos for our members. Now, us having more greater content that projects...
But how does one go about that?
Yeah.
And where do you get the money to do that? Because remember,
yes.
when you guys collect our monies,
Yes.
you're supposed to keep 20% only
yes,
for
our-
administration.
Our monies,
No,
yes.
our monies as
Yes.
artists.
I'm also...
Yes,
I'm
our
also,
monies.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm also
you
an
collect our
artist.
monies, and then you take the 20% for admin.
For administration.
Yes, and then
Yes.
where do you get the rest of the money that you invest in creating that content?
Yeah, so-
And what's the purpose of that content?
So we spend a lot of time engaging with stakeholders that are like-minded, that funds development of art in the country, not only local. So we look for funds in different spaces in order to be able to create developmental platforms for our members, because we've learned to realize that there's a gap. Not everyone who has a good song has an opportunity to produce a music video and own it. And it is in the ownership that you've achieved what you've achieved as an artist, because you're able to negotiate for your rights, knowing that if it's either a yes or a no, if you are treated unfairly. But if you don't have control and say over your own content, then you have a problem. The scheme by ECHO is just merely a gift to the industry, because everyone owns their music videos if they are produced. You collect your own royalties, and that's what we do.
I asked the question, where do you get the money to invest in that?
We fundraise.
How do you fundraise?
Yeah, like you, we make proposals, we submit.
I'm not
to
an organization.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we make proposals, we
Okay.
submit to different companies, and of course we get yes sometimes, we get no sometimes, and when we are funded, we calculate how many can we produce at a time.
So you only do that if your proposals were approved?
Yes.
If not, then
it's
there's
a
nothing.
Fund. Yeah,
Okay.
no, that we don't. Because one of the things that we respect is the understanding of what 20% administration fee is, and we stick to that. Anything else that you see us do, we fundraise for it. Same as the education that we do across the 9 provinces of South Africa and outside, we fundraise. If we are going to win when independent labels meet, we fundraise, we write letters, we request, and of course, government has been very supportive.
You are Stanley Khoza.
Yes.
You are an aspiring musician.
Yes.
And you're watching this interview.
Yes.
How do you make a decision between RISA and ECHO as to which one you go for?
Yeah. Look, I think I always say to people, ECHO doesn't campaign for members. People study our culture, study what we do. They meet us in workshops, in summits. They look at our presentations and they make up their mind from there. That's how people join.
But you still haven't answered my question.
No.
I'm trying to make a decision.
Yeah.
You not campaigning is also not helping me.
Yes.
I'm a musician.
Yes.
There's an organization, and this organization is taking money from my uncles, my brothers, and everybody.
Yes.
And it's sitting there saying, we don't campaign, you must come to us. No.
No.
You are watching the interview.
Yes.
You want to know what's best
Yeah.
for my career.
So
So you have to choose.
Yeah. So
Hearing stuff like we don't campaign, you are not interested in that.
No.
You want to know the difference between ECHO and RISA so that you make a decision.
So here's what I always say to people, and what I will say to you, and I like the fact that you were once at ECHO.
Yes.
The caliber of ECHO and its approach is not to campaign for people to choose between ECHO and RISA. There's a reason why there's a RISA, there's a reason why there's ECHO. Now the difference is in what we do and how we do it.
That's what we need to
So
find
as
out.
an organization, what makes us unique and set us apart, it's purely because we are entrenched in developing proudly South African independent record companies. And that's why we have created mass benefits for all our independent members. Now, one of the most difficult things that any leader or a young leader like myself tries and avoid in platforms like this is to speak in. You see, if there was a representative of the other organization.
No. Speak about yourself.
I'll speak. So yes, that's why I say the most difficult part is to speak on behalf of another organization. So I always try and focus on what is it that we stand for as an organization, which is to develop the proudly South African music space, to create opportunities for our members, and to make sure that they've got representation in all the spaces that matters. Now, when you look at, for example, the summers, we're a pro-supporter of the summers.
And the developing South African,
Which
is what you say you are doing.
Our plight, yeah, of course, look, there are a few things that I personally find they need to be looked into. But those things are things that I'm taking at the right appropriate platforms when it comes to the summers. For example, a member of ECO pays 4,750 to join for competition on the same categories. A RISA member pays 750 Rand. Why would we have people competing for the same sport paying different fees? Now, those are things that we as an organization don't think it's fair. Those are things that we want to change.
Hence, I gave you a platform to talk about the benefits of being an ECO member. Right now, when I'm sitting here, you are more defensive than pro telling artists about ECO. It's like ECO is this hidden something that's getting funded somewhere, but it's not supposed to be known by everyone. That's the feeling I'm having. Instead of being told that if you are with ECO, the benefit is, we know when we started ECO, we knew that the benefit was we had to fight for the rights of independent record labels. We had to do what? Hence, RISA had to find a way to say, we are now incorporating independent record labels. And what did we do? We moved to RISA because we knew RISA was already doing things like summers and being pro-South African, like you are saying. But when I'm sitting here, I want to hear what are the benefits of ECO.
Mafokate, the reason you moved is because you wanted to go to the summers. Now let's come back to the benefit of being an ECO member.
So you are saying that people that want summers must go to RISA?
No.
Exactly. Hence I'm saying, summers, talk about yourself.
Yeah, let me share with you. You see, it's a beautiful thing that I came here very relaxed today. The part about summers, that's just one aspect of the music industry. It's where we celebrate our stars as a country. And of course, we are engaging in making sure that the rules are favorable to everyone. At some point, we'll get it right. And why I keep emphasizing this part is that our part is more on advocacy on behalf of our members. And that's what we are doing. This is just one exhibit of the many things we are doing. Not so long ago, the country was busy with the Copyright Amendment Bill, the Performance Protection Bill. That's where ECO is. At the center, trying to make sure that at the end of the day, independent record labels are represented. Now, I went on to explain to you and say, currently in the country, ECO is the only organization with a music video subsidy scheme that develops its own members and allows them to develop their own members. The audio subsidy scheme, the music video scheme, where we fundraise with different stakeholders to produce music videos for our members. That's the only thing in the country that we have as an organization, which is for the benefit of our members.
How does that scheme work?
It's a simple thing. Over a period of time, we make a call and say we're looking for 50 songs that we can take. Of course, you will receive 500 songs or 5,000 songs. Then you need to choose. You've got a panel of people that are good at listening to music. There's a criteria, of course, that the music must be this and that. So you look at the genres of the members that we represent, Maskandi, Gospel, Kwaito, House, Mapiano, and all that. Then we are pushing the numbers according to the members that we want. So if you've got 50, for example, well then call in. Once everyone is approved and assigned, we then give them we appoint service providers that then produces the music videos for them. Then once that process is done, then quality is assessed. So there's a process into what we do. And of course, at the end of the day, we then are able to take the videos to various broadcasters. And you will know that after a year, then they are able to collect their music video royalties. And that's a lifetime
Who are
benefit.
the most notable people that have benefited, and what kind of benefits are they? How much do you contribute towards the music videos?
Look, we pay fully the once you get a fund. Let's say, for example, it cost. I'm just gonna use a number. If it costs 2 million to do 50 music videos, we'll contribute 100%, and our members will own 100% of the music videos.
Who has benefited?
Moby Dixon has benefited. Yahashel Mhlophe has benefited. Many other people have benefited that I can count.
And those are
Yes.
ECHO members?
Yes.
So you have to be an ECHO member for you to benefit?
Yeah, you have to be an ECHO
If
member
not,
to benefit.
then you don't benefit?
No, of course. Otherwise, everyone will just walk in the gate and say, I need a music video. So we always try and make sure that everyone understands the processes. When we go around the country doing workshops, we spend a lot of time training people. We invest in education because we believe that it's merely by being educated where you're able to understand the music business better.
You guys have got audio-visual rights.
Yes.
You've got needle-time rights through another organization.
Yeah.
But why are we having only one performance rights done by Sambro? At what point did you guys struggle to manipulate Sambro? Because I feel like whenever there's a big organization, you guys come and you create a smaller one under, you know.
No, don't label us like that. It's not how we operate. Look, there comes a time where you look at opportunities. I think the approach with ECHO is that if something works and it benefits our members, we're okay. It's only when it doesn't where we'll look at an alternative. And so far, I think everything is in order.
For you to form IMPRA, it was because you're not benefiting from Sambra?
No.
But that's what you said.
No.
If it doesn't benefit,
please,
that's when we create another alternative. Remember,
please.
I know why we formed ECHO.
Yes.
We know we were not benefiting at RISA.
Yeah.
And then you are saying now others will only be formed.
You were not benefiting at RISA.
Yes. We were not benefiting enough. We were fairly, unfairly judged.
Yes, of course. Because you were not happy, then you realized that we needed an alternative. And an alternative was formed. So even with IMPRA, an alternative was needed. It was felt that it is necessary to establish an independent needle-time board. It's not that efforts were not made for IMPRA members to benefit through the scheme that was there before.
So you say
yes.
You are changing your statement?
No, I'm not changing anything. I'm making it clear. I'm saying to you, the reason why ECHO was formed is because people were not happy. Okay. They were not being treated in the manner that they felt.
That's us.
That is needed.
Yes,
Of course,
yes.
that was the generation that opened the gateway
and
for us.
And we formed ECHO.
Yes.
But I'm trying to understand, why was IMPRA formed?
It's because the members were not benefiting accordingly from SAMPRA the way they wanted.
How did they want? What's the difference between IMPRA and SAMPRA when it comes to royalty distribution?
It's the same difference between ECHO and RISA.
Which
when
is?
You were not happy.
Yes, but
left.
You still haven't answered me.
Yes, I'm coming.
I'm sitting here. You are representing an organization, but you are failing to tell people the difference.
No, Mafokate. I want to assist you. You are saying to me, when you guys left RISA, you formed ECHO is because you were not happy. I'm saying the members that formed IMPRA is because they felt they were not being treated fairly when it comes to
how were they not treated fairly?
Look, at that time I was not part of the.
But you can still explain because you know the history.
I know the history.
I was there.
And that's why I'm saying to you, the beauty of it is that when you left RISA to form ECHO, you were not happy. When they left SAMPRA to go form IMPRA, they were not happy. They needed a platform where they can be represented.
You are a leader. You are a deputy chairperson
of ECHO.
Yes.
Not IMPRA.
Yes. But you guys are. You confessed it.
No. These are two organizations.
Oh, so now
that runs differently. Please work.
Oh, so now you don't have a say on the other one.
No. Please hear me well. I represent the Association of Independent Record Companies of South Africa, which is a proud organization that advocates for independent record labels.
Let me ask you a stupid question.
Now,
can you leave from ECHO and go join SAMPRA?
Can I leave ECHO and go join SAMPRA?
Yeah, but like being a member of ECHO, sorry, not leave. Being a member of ECHO, can you go join SAMPRA?
If I wanted, yes.
All members are allowed?
As far as I know.
As far as you know?
As far as I know,
yes.
And as far as I understand,
yes.
You have the right of association.
Okay, so you can go join.
We don't force anyone to join any organization. What we say to you is that these are the offerings of ECO.
Hence,
These are
I've
the
been
offering of
asking about these offerings that
yes,
you.
the offerings of ECO and the offerings of IMPRA are two different things. I can tell you about the offerings of ECO because I'm the vice president of ECO. If you want me to talk about IMPRA, I'll need to get an IMPRA representative
So
to
you
come and speak about IMPRA. I can't do that. You understand? So that's how the organizations work. So when I sit here as the deputy president of the Association of Independent Record Companies of South Africa.
Not
Now,
anything to do with
yeah,
IMPRA.
so
you are saying officially an ECO member can join SAMPRA?
no, an ECO member can join IMPRA if they like IMPRA's offerings.
Are you agreeing that members of ECO can still go join SAMPRA?
Yeah. Members of ECO?
Yes.
I definitely like to believe that they might be.
There might be.
Yes.
So you are not sure?
No, I'm not sure.
As the deputy chairperson of ECO, you are not sure that a member of ECO is free to join SAMPRA? You are a deputy chairperson,
no.
but you are not sure?
You are not hearing me.
Okay.
You need to listen to me very carefully. I'm saying a member of ECO has the right to choose whether for needle time royalties they are represented by ECO or they are represented by some. We don't enforce on what you must do. We only tell you the benefits of being a member of ECO and share with you what IMPRA does.
But they have a right to join SAMPRA?
Yeah. If any member felt they wanted to join SAMPRA and they find SAMPRA's offerings, that's their choice.
Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted you to say.
Anyone has the right to pick what they believe is best for their business.
We move to your role as the Moshito chairperson.
Yes.
Honorable chairperson.
The youngest.
The youngest.
Yeah.
Who made it possible?
Look, when I went to Moshito, it was one of the most greatest opportunity, I think, for me. It was the second or third AGM that I was now witnessing, having been to two at ECO. Then I went to Moshito AGM. Of course, when I went there, I was just going in as part of the delegation because each organization sends a delegation into Moshito. I think we were 4 from each organization. And when we were there, there was just this leadership contest. It was election time. And of course, some emerged, they were voted in, some were not voted in, and there were squabbles around the leadership. And of course, thoughtful minds, I think one amongst was yourself, and I think yourself, I forget who else that was there, said, you know what, we have served our time as old people. Maybe we might need to give young people an opportunity to get into the space. I then replaced, I think, Mandla Maseko. The organization then gave me a mandate to go represent him at Moshito, and that's how I got into the board. Yes. So I was not going there to be elected. I was going there to observe the proceedings and, of course, learn as a secondary member, because there were 2 members from each organization.
Yes. I remember it was Mandla, and
yes.
then I said to you guys, I called both of you.
Yes.
In fact, I called you first.
Yeah.
I said to you, Stan, do you think you can handle this position? And you said yes. And then I said, let me go and talk to Mandla and see if he'll agree that we, the oldies, move aside and give the youngster a chance.
Yes, I remember. There were many youngsters that came in at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and I think it was one of the best decisions that you guys took at the time, of appointing people that were young, had the energy.
No, the rest of the people were still old. Don't try and sugarcoat it.
Remember
with me, I don't like sugarcoating.
That's the leadership where Stan emerged.
There were no young people. Who was young people?
Nongelo emerged.
No.
Leader Romeo was there.
It was Romeo only?
Yes. No, it was Romeo. It was myself. The second to Romeo
No,
was
you
Nongelo.
didn't emerge.
Yes.
We didn't vote you in.
Leader, you gave me an opportunity.
Yeah, but...
please wait. You elected a board.
Yes.
When you elected a board, within the board there were squabbles. Yes. And of course at the time, I felt it was not a space where I wanted to be. But assessing the situation and listening to the voice, the conversations that we had to say, what is important is how do you move Moshito into a space that very
Oh
progressive.
no, by then I
where how
wasn't
do we
there. Me, when I
advance people?
suggested your role
Yes.
was the very same night.
No, it was the AGM.
Yes, it was on the very same night. With me, I didn't wait for your squabbles or anything. The
Yes.
only thing is I removed myself from the whole thing.
Yes.
And we had another older person
Yes.
that we had to replace with Chomi.
Yeah. Now remember, of course, I think you guys
Remember,
were,
the young thing started on the same night of the AGM,
Yes.
and then there was no young person.
Yeah, I was the youngest
Yes.
in the board.
No, you were not yet there. Hey, when man, you
No,
like
no.
this young.
I was, when I entered the space, trust me, after that AGM, I think few months later or a month later, of course, the first meeting convened. I went in because I was already a secondary member representing the organization.
Yes.
So I went in, of course, observed the situation, learned a lot from the likes of Brasipo and all the other board members.
Brasipo was still the
that were there.
chairperson,
At the time, he was the chairperson.
and you were the deputy.
No. I was just a
Oh,
board member.
Ntla was the deputy.
Yes, it was Mr. Spiso was the deputy. I was just an ordinary board member. Fast forward, I then became a treasurer when Mr. Mtijane resigned of the organization. When Mr. Mkarabo Mtijane resigned, I then replaced him. But from that space, I think...
So who were the elected board on that night?
I think it was Brasipo.
Chairperson.
Yeah, it was Brasipo. It was
And then Ntla was
Mr.
deputy.
BC.
And then
It
what was
the treasurer?
Mandla?
Remember, Mandla was a deputy.
Deputy
to
what?
Sipo.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, he was
yes.
the
So
deputy
you were
chairperson.
when you swapped, you became a deputy.
No. After the AGM, new leadership was elected. Right? Now, when the new leadership is elected, Dr. Stolle was the chairperson. Advocate Svisi was the deputy chairperson. And then I think there was many other people that left. Advocate Maluleke.
So who's the
many
current
others.
board now? I only know you and Chomi.
The current board, it's myself, it's the chairperson. Advocate Svisi
Oh
is the
yes,
deputy
Sibisi
chairperson.
is still there. Ntla is
And
still there.
then Mr. Sem Mangwane is the
Prasem is still
treasurer.
the treasurer.
Yes, and then we've got Akumda Zindala Zombili.
Oh yes.
Sakai, Saada. We've got Kumisa. We've got, so I think it's a board of 11 organizations.
A lot of people are complaining that you guys are one of the most selfish leadership they've ever had because
Yes.
you guys don't want to go for elections.
Yes.
And how long have you guys been in that board?
Yeah, look, we've been in the board for, I think it's almost like 3 years or 4 years.
No ways.
Yes.
Can't be 3.
Ken,
No.
please walk with
Remember,
me.
it was 2017 when you guys got elected.
No. Not 2017. You see, all of you get these facts wrong. I was not there in 2017. I was not there in 2016, 20 what. When I became into a board and a chair, it was 2019.
No.
Record speaks for themselves.
Okay, let's say
Yes.
2019. 2019 till today,
Yes.
there's no way that still can be 3 years. It's 6 years.
Yeah, so let's then take it step by step. 2019.
You guys
to
are supposed to be for 3 years, right?
No.
How many years?
Mafokate, you served on the board.
Yeah, but I left.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys changed rules.
No, we didn't change any rules.
So it's 6 years.
We're still working on the same constitution that was drafted by the founders of Moshito.
So you guys are supposed to be there for 6 years.
No. When we came into the board, I found a template that was designed by the founders of Moshito. The template prescribes the term of office.
Which is how many years?
I think the term of office at Moshito is 4 years.
So you guys
And
are
then
2 years
from
overboard.
there- No.
I know it's 3 years, but for now, for the conversation, it's 2 years.
Let's go with this thing step by step so that we don't lose the audience. I get elected in 2019. We're supposed to run office for 4 years. Then 2020, I don't know if it's 2019 or 2020, the country goes into COVID.
So does COVID reverse the
2019.
years?
No, please work with me. So that
I'm
you
working
can
with
then
you
understand.
because I don't want
country-
you to
yes.
work with me, but with unfounded facts.
It's important to understand as a spectator from outside. I'm saying 2019, we are elected to run the organization. Of course, when you are elected, you then have the year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Every year, you're supposed to have an annual general meeting. That's a prerequisite of any organization.
Have you guys had one?
Yes, we had.
When?
It was in 2020.
The annual general. And
Yes.
since 2020,
Yeah.
5
No,
years later,
pl-
there's
please-
no other one.
No, please work with me.
I'm working with
That's
you.
what I'm saying
But
to you.
that can't make me not question you.
No, when you question, allow me to respond. Then you'll get the information. 2019 to 2020, I don't remember the exact date because it was long ago.
I know it's 2025.
Actually, Moshito events are, Moshito AGMs are in December because that's when the financial year ends.
Supposed
to be ending. So 2019 December to 2021 December, it will have been in our AGM. And then you had 2021 to 2022, 2023 to 2024, so that's why I said it's important to calculate and work in understanding that you run from 2019 December to 2020 in December, it will be 1 year. 2020 to 2021 in December, it will be 2nd year. Now, each and every year, you're supposed to have an annual general meeting in an organization. So in 2020, we had a an AGM. Now, in 2022, we couldn't have an AGM because we're still on complete lockdown. And of course, as an organization, we didn't have the resources. Moshito is a non-profit company, which is donor dependent. We are funded mostly by Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So we did not have the resources to convene AGMs digitally. We needed to lobby for resources in order for us to be able to host these AGMs. And that was the only reason
Wait, Stan.
Yes.
You need resources to have a Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting?
Or a Teams meeting.
No, not Teams meeting, an annual general meeting. An annual general meeting is different to a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
An annual general meetings, you need a secretariat company. You need to have a legal firm that deals with the legalities of a meeting. You need to have a minute company that deals with taking minutes. And of course, you need to have your auditors in place and stuff like that. So
that's the reason you guys are still in power, because you don't have those kind of things.
No, we have.
And the other question I want to ask you.
Let's deal with that, because that's how you create a wrong perception.
Exactly.
It's important that you understand. It's not that we don't have audited financial statements. We have audited financial statements. What we didn't have was resources to put together a digital AGM with implications of hiring a legal firm to manage the legalities of our meeting, a secretariat company, and a minute company at a time. So this is how Moshito gets funded, so that maybe it will also clarify you and anyone who wants to know about Moshito. When you are funded by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, for example, they fund you for what you want to do when you finish your report.
That's where I wanted to go to, because you guys, wait. You guys every year get funded to do the Moshito conference.
Yes.
Right? Every year.
Not
in that year.
Not every year.
2020?
Yeah.
Did they fund you?
No, when we were 2019, 2020, we were not funded by any government organization. We were assisted by City of Johannesburg.
Is that not government?
No, I'm saying we're not funded by National Arts and Culture and all those.
It doesn't have to be arts and culture, by the way. But you got funded by government.
Remember, the public claim is that every year we are funded by arts and culture, and it's not every year.
Okay.
Yes.
You see, what I'm trying to understand here is,
yes,
when you get funded, you take the money.
Yes.
But you guys have the power to reverse a year.
Yeah.
But you still had funding to create an event.
No. You don't reverse. What do you mean when you say you reverse?
Remember, you said you don't count 2020 as a year for you guys at Moshito.
No. It's not a decision that you take to reverse a year. It's important how we make this thing clear. No one takes a decision. We're compelled by circumstances to take a decision. Any board is mandated to assess any situation and act in compliance with the prerequisite. When COVID came in, all of us had no idea that it was going to last for 3 years. I don't even remember how long it was. We didn't know. We were just told it's for 21 days. And it became the longest.
How many members does Moshito have?
Members? At the time, they had 12 members.
12 members.
Yes.
So are you saying 12 organizations are failing to meet and have an AGM?
No, they are not.
Because these are existing organizations. Remember, the members of Moshito are organizations in their own right.
Yeah.
And you are saying you failed to have an AGM because you guys couldn't convene. 12 major organizations failing to convene and say they don't have a budget.
Let's correct this thing. There's a difference between a board that meets every month or every quarter and an AGM. It's an annual general meeting. We should
for members.
these things. Yeah, they say. No, the board is made up of members. So they
But how many members does Moshito have?
I said to you, there were 12 members in 2019. Now, what I'm explaining is
currently, how many are they?
Please, the 11.
11 members.
There's only one.
So are you saying 11 members are failing to converge every year?
No. Please hear me well. It's very important. All the members of the organization, the 11 members of Moshito, took a decision based on the country's standing at the time. When we were compelled to face COVID, I repeat, we were not aware it was going to take long. And as an organization, we did not have the resources to operate in terms digitally, as many organizations did. I think the first organization to have a digital AGM will have been Sambro, if not RISA. And everyone then learned that, this can be done. When was it? It was a year later, or in year plus couple of months. So when we started realizing what the possibilities are, we were already way into a year. We then, as a board, took a decision that we are going to convene an AGM. Of course, there's a reporting AGM for our members. And as we speak now, Moshito is heading into an AGM, which will be publicly announced on Moshito's platforms. Of course, look, it will be wrong of me to publish the date.
Or before the board decides?
Before the board publishes a public notice. So all these questions about AGM, when did it happen, why didn't it happen at what year, it forms part of what each and every board has a responsibility to explain to the members at an AGM. But there was never a decision to say, let us not have an AGM, because we have always understood that in our independent organizations, it's a prerequisite to hold AGMs, and it's very important that you take your stakeholders into confidence by making sure that you follow governance through. We're an organization that will not have been funded by government organizations if we did not have annual financial statements, if we did not have compliance documents, if we did not have our SARS in order, and all these things. So we are
and one would also add that if it's 11 major organizations, it's basically the industry deciding that, guys, this is not the right time to have an AGM.
Exactly. So now here's where the biggest misunderstanding that people take advantage of. We didn't cause the state. It was just a natural matter that we could not compete with. And when that happened, it forced us to reflect back. And as an industry, that's why I keep emphasizing that the Moshito board is made up of organizations. If we take a decision as a board, it's not a Stanley's decision. It's a decision of the board that says, this is where the country is now. These are the challenges. Let's wait. We'll then at an AGM explain accordingly. And if a person understands how you run a board on behalf of a constituency. So you don't share things with the public that your constituency have not been reported to officially.
So the highlights of your role as the chairperson of Moshito.
Yes.
I have always congratulated you guys for having kept Moshito alive, because Moshito, as far as I'm concerned, could have died. Because I feel like it was saved. Yeah. Can you speak about the highlights and the achievements? Because I can state them from a distance, because I've been there, I've watched you guys.
I think, look, when you look at Moshito and you understand its role in developing the South African music industry, and being the center platform not only for South Africans but for Africa, where everyone comes in every year without fail to engage in the business of music. For me, that's the greatest highlight. And of course, being able to create working opportunities for 40 to 50 artists on annual basis, it will always be the greatest thing for any person. I've seen how our artist bubbles when Moshito happens. I've seen how much they come. If you have seen the past 4 Moshitos or the past 3 Moshitos, you look at the attendance. They've been well attended, and it shows the level of growth. And it's not only South African people that comes. You've got people from as far as Senegal, Canada, Doa, Mauritius, Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland coming in. And of course, we've forged new partnerships with different countries, your Cameroons, your Canadas and stuff. And watching artists moving from South Africa to go perform under the umbrella of Moshito in different countries, for me was another added benefit that I'll forever be grateful for. So that's where I think I see Moshito doing well. But also looking at the ambassadors we've produced, Makadzi.
I wanted you to mention those kind of things.
Makadzi being one of them. We had Buntle the other year being one of them. We've had the honor of Big Zulu being our ambassador as well. And of
Mdu
course,
at some point?
we had
Mdu? Or was it Moonchild?
Yeah, Moonchild was our ambassador at some point. I think
Ihasheli
Mhlope was our ambassador last year. So
but
that's the rich history.
Doesn't it worry you that the budgets have been cut?
Yeah.
Which, one way or the other, one feels like it's an injustice to the music industry.
Look, one thing that I've, as a chair and of course as a board, we had to reflect on in our last board meeting was the level of Moshito that we want the country to have and the amount that we think Moshito deserves. Of course, when you are led by people with minimal understanding to the importance of the property Moshito, and when decisions are taken, you are not there to negotiate in terms of the budget. I think when the budget was cut, it was when COVID came in, because if you remember, no one was allowed to convene any event with more than 50 people. So
that was 2020.
Yes.
So now we are in 2025, and
yeah, in 2020, that's when the budget was cut to lower, and of course to meet the standards at the time. But fast forward past that, I think because of our great reporting in 2021 or 2022, the budget improved to slightly something we could work on in accommodating more artists. And of course, we had to do a lot of justification in terms of why we need more budgets. But one thing that I've seen is that Moshito needs not only budget from one source. We need to, as of course, we continue as a board to fundraise in different spaces. That's why last year you will have seen our gospel festival was sponsored by SAMPRA as an independent product.
Sponsored by what?
By SAMPRA.
Okay, I'm
yes,
just double
it was
checking.
Sponsored by SAMPRA. A proud relationship that I think as a chairperson, I'm happy that I've forged a way with my team. And we are continuing to look for many other stakeholders to come on board and to sponsor different properties.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
How much do you need to have a successful music conference?
A successful music conference? Look, Moshito is not just a conference. You've got the conferencing aspect, which I think you need almost R1 million for. But the eventing that are at Moshito, you've got the Moshito Street Festival, you'll remember. You've got the Afro World Night, which is an Afro Soul dedicated festival. You've got the official opening of Moshito. Then you've got the Amapiano meets.
So Moshito is beyond just being a music conference. It's a music conference and a festival.
Yeah, it's a music conference that offers many
What do you call it?
It's an exhibition.
Moshito.
Yeah, it's called Moshito Music Conference and Exhibition.
Exhibition.
Yes.
And then
so our biggest focus as a conference is to be able to offer all music industry organizations and companies a platform to showcase what they are doing. So Moshito, if it was to happen in the manner in which we envisage as a board, with a budget of about 10 to 12 million, you will have a lot of stalls. If you remember in 2016, 2017, you used to have marquees erected at SABCs where people were showcasing their products, because we have always known that artists makes money out of physical merchandise.
Wouldn't you say it's because you guys are becoming confused on whether to be a festival or conference and exhibition?
No, there's never been a confusion. And of course, one always enjoys this privilege of serving with many young people now. We are very clear about what Moshito is. It's a music conference that has got facets which are entertainment pockets. The Street Festival is one of the most beautifulest platforms where we showcase South African music. The Gospel Festival, it's a gospel dedicated festival for gospel lovers.
But if I'm a funder,
night, yes.
If I'm a funder,
yes,
I'm like DSEC. Yes. I'm already funding your Mapungubes, Diamonds and Dorings, yes, Makufe and all those things. Yes. And you guys come again asking for money.
Yes.
Instead of focusing on the exhibition and the conference, yes, wanting to do a festival, don't you think it's going to be difficult for me as a funder to justify it?
Yeah. So this is what we've done successfully for the past couple of years since we've been aboard. We've been able, and of course I must commend those who started in 2003, 2004, till up to now. We have made sure that each and every year there's a conference and there's a showcase platform for all the artists and most of the genres. That's one of the beautiful things about Moshito. There's no genre that we are leaving out. We've always been able to curate and create a platform. So if you have a platform such as Moshito, where over 450 people are employed every year and over 40 to 45 artists are performing every year, then that's what counts. And that's what government looks for. What role are they playing?
So you're creating how many jobs? 450?
Over 450 jobs every year. So a year without funding for Moshito means there must be over 450 people that are not employed, and there must be artists that are not given a platform to showcase their talent.
And does government understand that?
Yeah, I believe they understand. It is a continued duty as a chairperson to always remind government why these platforms are important.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense. So far, which government entities are behind Moshito?
The National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gauteng Sports, City of Johannesburg, and all the music industry bodies are often the carriers of Moshito when a need arises.
So do you have permanent contracts, or do you have to go renegotiate every year? Because that would be frustrating.
You don't have a permanent contract. One of the greatest duties of a chairperson is to make sure that every year the conference happens. And of course, with the board that I have, we lobby a lot. So every year when you see Moshito happens, it means we have to go lobby for funds to be given. And people will not just give you funds for the longest time without a track record and also without you meeting results. So we've been able to show what have we done every year, what have we produced. I mean, we are on the 6th or 7th demo competition winner right now. So meaning we've produced also 7 stars that are showcasing their talent.
You've been accused of misusing funds.
Yes.
As Moshito.
Yes.
Are they justifiable, those accusations, or not?
Look, the word misusing funds depends on how one wants to justify it. From where I'm sitting, if I spend the money that I get from government in paying the artist that comes to perform at Moshito, in paying the service providers that works at Moshito, in paying everyone that deserves to be paid for the work they do, this is justifiable.
And don't you think this kind of rumors are the ones that are making the finances to keep on dwindling?
Look, you will always have a dedicated team of people whose job is to discourage the great progress. But your job as a board or as leaders of any organization is to focus on the strength of the organization. Our sole focus is what Moshito can deliver and how we make sure that it continues to deliver. I gave an example that when we had no cent in 2019, we still found a way to make sure that we had the best Moshito ever. And that was the opportunity that as a board we reflected and realized that it's doable. The dependency syndrome is what kills, comfort kills. But we have reached a point where we've matured beyond party politics, accusations and whatnot, because that won't take Moshito forward. My duty as a chairperson, of course, collectively with the board, is to take our stakeholders into confidence with regard to the property itself, where it's standing. You can't imagine a year without Moshito in this country. It does not only represent South Africa. If people understood, Moshito is the key incarnate between South Africa and the African continent, with partnerships in countries such as Seychelles, Mauritius, Doa, BIMC. So we've not only just formed Moshito, we've also started igniting. In Botswana, we've got BIMC, which is a product of. So when you look at these things, you look at the opportunities that Moshito always extends to the world, you then realize that it's bigger than us.
So if you are a chairperson of Moshito and you've got all these members that are running the music industry,
Yes.
and me and you know that there have been recent squabbles between SAMPRA and IMPRA.
Yes.
How do you navigate through those?
Look, one of the opportunities of leadership is that independent squabbles have nothing to do with us at Moshito. When we're at Moshito, we have a responsibility to work at Moshito. We might have our personal beef. It has nothing to do with the board. When you are there, you deliver what you are there to deliver. And that's what makes us the greatest board we have been for the longest
Who
time.
are the 11 members that you currently have?
Jesus Christ.
It's 11, man.
Now I need.
It's
Now
like
I-
if you have 7 kids,
now
you
I-
remember
now I-
all their names.
Not when you're in an interview.
No, relax.
Of course,
We're just having a
of
chat.
course, you'll have Echo, you'll have Echo, you'll have Akumda, you'll have Zindala Zombili, you'll have Kumisa, you'll have Compensa, you'll have Risa, you'll have Samro, you'll have
Saada Sakaiv.
Saada, Sakaiv, you'll have, if I have not mentioned anyone,
I've not heard of Samro, I've not heard of Sampra.
you've heard of Kumis. No, I've mentioned them, those ones.
Okay, Sampro and Sampra.
Yes. I've
And
mentioned
Impra?
them. No, Impra
Okay.
is not a member. And then Kumisa as well is a member.
So at least you've got power there.
No, look,
On their own, they can host an AGM without having to ask for help. They can host the conference without asking for help.
Look, that's why we when you get an invite as a member organization to the AGM, you will then get exposed to what we've been going through over the past couple of years, what we've achieved and what we pride ourselves with. And of course, we hand over the baton, and then new leadership, of course, will emerge at whatever time. And then we take it from there. But what must always be key is how we fight to make sure that Moshito remains the protected asset of the country. Because it's not about individuals. It's not about squabbles. It's about...
I like what you just said, because I always say, you know, even when we have our private conversations, I always say it's easy for people to aspire to run such kinds of organizations, but trust me, it's not easy.
It's not.
You are one of the right people to run that organization. And not that I'm campaigning for you, but I just know that it's not easy running an organization like Moshito and still be sane. Because a lot of people out there think you guys are making millions, chowing millions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if people knew how little we get to make Moshito happen and make it look that big, they'll then understand. That's why I always say it's easy to judge. It's difficult when you are sitting here where I'm sitting, when you don't know where the next income will come from to run the organization throughout the year and make sure that you run the biggest conference.
Okay. You know, I like asking certain questions that might be uncomfortable.
Yes,
An organization like Moshito,
yes.
in a year, how much do you have in your budget to run it, including the conference?
We, of course, the project, whenever we do projections, the minimal is 2.2 million. The minimal Moshito.
Okay.
To run all
2.2
the facets
million.
is 2.2
And then
million.
Echo?
That excludes running the organization.
Echo?
Yeah, I'm not
Me, I
done-
can easily
yeah.
say Samro makes over 500 million.
I'm not done on Moshito.
You said 2.2.
No, no.
Oh.
2.2 is to run the conference. You see, this is very important. That people need to understand. There's a team that works on making Moshito what it is over a period of a year.
Yeah, I'm looking at your financials and I'm thinking, I
Yes.
just need to know
So people
what
only
went
focus
in.
on the project.
No, no,
which-
no. But my question
Yes.
is about what goes in financially
In-
for the
in-
whole year,
into-
including.
into Moshito.
I didn't say single out others.
Oh. No, no, that's what I'm saying to you. On yearly basis, it differs on what we granted. So remember, we get a grant letter, which says 1 year it will be 1.5 million, 1 year it will be 2 million, the next year it will be R1 million. So you work on what you are granted from the sponsors.
Okay.
And
Are
when
you-
there's a shortfall, I always make sure that I then liaise with all the CMOs, whoever that has a budget.
So
can
Moshito is averaging between 1 to 2 million per year to run it, to do everything.
2.2 million.
So we're back to where we were, 2.2.
Yeah. No, no, that doesn't include administrative.
I'm talking
running.
about everything.
If you put administrative cost, that's plus 950,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Echo?
The cost to run Echo.
Let's say, the sales in a year?
No, we don't sell anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Echo, we only collect audiovisual.
The
rights.
revenue?
Look, it varies broadcaster to broadcaster, but I think it's safe to say average about 16 million.
So that's all that.
Yeah. So all the noise and the fights are around there.
The 16 million.
Yes.
And then Impra?
I will be sure.
You're a member
course.
and you're a deputy chairperson of ECHO, and Impra is associated with ECHO. So
no.
you should know how much Impra makes.
No.
Remember, you are representing, most of your members are with Impra.
Yeah, so
Yes.
now that's where people make a mistake. When you have a structure that has its own board and has its own operational runnings, you allow the structure to make its public.
But you are a member of
proclamations.
Impra.
Like
You go to their AGM.
I'm a member of SAMRO. Some
Yes.
things I don't know.
Me, I know.
Yes.
Hence, I'm a member, but remember, that's why they are allowed to release public financial statements. Hence, I'm asking about Impra. As a member of Impra, do you know how much Impra makes in a year, or you're just a member?
No, I know plus minus how much they make.
Exactly,
but,
that's the question.
I'll only be speaking and speculating. Yes, I'm saying I'll only be speaking and speculating on plus minus how much they make.
Exactly, that's the
Yes.
amount I'm looking for. The speculated one.
I think the first time the public notice that I received was 16 million or
For Impra.
16.5 million when they started. And then there was another 10 million, which I think was the second payment. And outside that, I think those are the figures that I recall.
So according to you, Moshito makes less than 3 million, ECHO around 16 million.
And this structure, so we shouldn't count Moshito like it's an eco thing, no.
No.
Moshito,
I'm talking about things that
Okay.
you have.
No, Moshito needs 3 million to operate. It doesn't
Yes.
make. It needs 3
Yeah,
million.
the revenue in a year for
it's
it
not
to survive.
No, it's not revenue. Moshito doesn't have revenue, my brother. This thing is very important. Moshito does not have a cent. Moshito receives project funds. It uses the project funds. It puts together a report. It reports to the funders.
So it needs 3 million funding.
To make the project, yes.
3 million funding to
Yes.
make the project and
Happen.
admin.
Yes,
3 million.
yes.
And then ECHO.
So that 3 million is not income.
Yes.
It's a project fee. you get it.
What would you write it on a financial statement?
Yeah.
You write
So,
it as what?
Remember, it will be income and expenditure.
So it's
because
recorded
on one
as
end
income.
it's recorded as income
Okay.
that we received.
Okay.
And then from it will then be recorded as expenditure because you'll then start
So on
to
a financial
spend.
statement, it's recorded as income.
Yes, and
Okay.
on one hand,
Yes, it's
an
expenses.
Expenses,
Okay.
yes.
So the same as ECO and IMPRA.
Yeah, with ECO, it will be different because
Okay.
remember there's the trade organizations which deals with advocacy, then there's the collecting society which deals with the distribution of royalties.
Okay.
Yes.
And then after distributing the royalties, 20% is the only one that you guys are
Yeah,
supposed
the
to
only
pay.
money that you can levy is the 20% for administration fee. Yes.
So all these accusations that have been leveled against you guys are just unfair.
Look, quite honestly, any rumor has made any organization stronger because it gives you a chance to introspect, look at your systems, question yourself, and you are never comfortable because everyone is looking at what you're doing. So that's the beautiful thing about it. But also being able to report accordingly, take people into confidence. What matters is your members. There will always be people who are good at speaking and convincing people who does not even bear membership. So imagine me talking about matters of your house without me being a member or never ever been into your house. But I'm able to convince people. So I always say to people, be careful of what you choose to listen to and always make time to just sit with the people who are accused and ask them what does it take to run the organizations.
And would you say platforms like this help clarify? Because I feel like I've asked all the questions that I've been asked to ask.
Yeah. Look, one of the things about any platform, any interview, is that you must use the platform to be able to convey the message that the public needs. And these are important forums from where I'm sitting, where we need to be able to share with the public without shying away from the truth. We must always know, no one is perfect, no organization is perfect. We learn. There was no module when I came into the music business that says, this is how you don't make mistakes. We had to learn. There were leaders before me, there will be leaders after me, but what matters is that I make time to learn on a daily basis.
And would you say you have clarified everything that's out there now, or you want to say something some more?
No. Look, one thing I've learned, not only just from you and many others that have been through public scrutiny, is that you should not over-invest energy in rumors. Invest energy in making sure that you do your work well, that it speaks for itself. I sleep because I know over 45 artists performs at Moshito. I sleep because I know that we export more talent than any other music conference in the country. I sleep because I know that every year there must be 5 days of the music industry's greatest minds gathering in South Africa. And that's my responsibility to make sure that it
You seem
happens
to be
together
more
with the
passionate
board.
about Moshito than Ekone.
No, I'm more
Am I-
No. I'm more passionate about all the organizations.
You
and
glow
role
when
I
you talk
play.
about Moshito.
No. I
You
want
glow.
you to,
Doesn't
no,
it glow,
no.
guys?
No.
It glows when it
No,
talks
no, no.
about Moshito.
No, please hear me well. Please
You
hear-
know that?
No.
When you talk about Moshito, you can. But
No,
when
no,
you
no.
say Echo, we Echo, we don't really.
No,
as
no,
Echo,
no.
we don't really
No,
go
no,
out
Arthur.
there and tell people what we do. But you ask about
Arthur.
Moshito. Hi, Moshito has done 45. What? But when you ask about Echo,
Arthur, let me assist you. I want you to understand how these things work. Moshito is the current thing that everybody has been so focused on, purely because it's one of the platforms through which I think as a leader I was tested. And I appreciate every opportunity. When you're tested, you introspect and you reflect. And because I've reflected, I now understand the power and the value of Moshito. When you come back to Echo, without all these other things, without Echo, I wouldn't be where I am. I've learned a lot.
or would
Yeah.
you say because with
So-
Echo, you guys is whatever you say goes. That's why it's not easy to feel like Echo is because
no.
this one is a 16 million rand organization. This one is a 3 million. But you glow when you talk about 3 million.
No. Please hear me well. No, there's no 16 million. I want you to understand this part. When it comes to the Association of Independent Record Companies, that's where I owe my gratitude. That's why I'm at peace when I talk about Echo. You see,
Yeah.
me
But you
calm
don't
and relaxed.
market it like you marketed
No.
Moshito.
You see, the work of Echo markets itself. You see, the way you're passionate and you want to draw me to speak about it tells me that we are already done. You see, there's a difference in marketing. Of course, I don't often offer this marketing crash course. There's a lot in not saying too much about an organization that tells people too much. A lot of people after this conversation will want to know what is Echo. They will Google, they will be on Instagram, they will be
So
on
you
Facebook,
want them to
just
go
on
through all
Twitter.
that trouble.
It's-
For me, I
it's
feel like you are
important.
hiding something.
No.
Based on the rumors, you not being able to speak or answer any question given this platform
Give me one question.
makes me
No,
think
give me one question.
there's something that's being hidden.
No.
Because if you are an organization and everything is clear, you
Mafokate.
open it up and you just
Yeah.
say, when last
Mafokate.
did you have an AGM for Echo?
Mafokate, give me
You won? When
last year.
And then
Give
before
me
then?
an example. No, last year an AGM is annual general. It's
Okay.
every
Yeah,
year.
but I'm saying every year you've been
Yeah,
having
it's
one.
every year. Yes.
Okay.
Now I want you to give me a question that I couldn't answer when it comes to Echo.
I said, what differentiates you from the others?
It's because we're proudly pro-South African independently
And Summers are still
organizations.
proudly pro-South
No,
African.
Summers are awards. You
Yes,
see,
but
there's-
they represent which organization?
No. Please, you see, you are mixing two things which are don't mix. Echo is an organization. Summers are a project.
By?
RISA.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't forget that RISA is using Summers to
Yes.
advance,
Yes.
its mission.
Yeah, it's
And
cause.
one of the missions is being pro South African.
Yes.
Hence they're called South African Music Awards.
Yes.
But I'm trying to find something again that makes Echo look attractive.
Yeah. So I think if you look at where Echo is now and the future of Echo, and of course I think people will see in September, we're launching the Proudly South African Music Month. It's the longest performance platform that people will have to experience proudly South African music. It's a grand scale at which we wanted to reflect as an offering of the organization in celebrating our own sound. This will include legends, this will include young stars, this will include all the genres. We've never done something like this, but for the past 2 years we've been working on something that will give us the stature that we want in terms of celebrating our South African sounds. But apart from that, I've already told you about the audiovisual scheme where we subsidize music video productions, And of course, we've got other great plans that we're working on that the board will, at an opportune time, share with everyone. And I know that when all is said and done, even some of them.
Go back to Echo.
So that they come in.
The thing is, you
experience
still
what
haven't
they
said
started.
anything that differentiates Echo from other collecting societies, Echo Audiovisual.
There are no other, there are two. Yeah, and
that's just being pro, and that you are going to do a festival.
No, we don't do festivals.
But you said that.
No, the Proudly South African Music Month is not just a festival; it's an experience. In September, come experience.
And that's the only thing that
bring
must
to
make
an
me an
interview.
Echo member.
The reason why you left, you went to the other side because of the summers.
No.
What was it?
There are too many benefits.
Which
I'll
ones?
call them to come and sit
Which
here
ones?
and talk. Unfortunately,
No,
as a
which
host, I
ones?
can't. But I want you to tell me
As a
about
board
the.
member. You tell me, as a board
you are
member,
you are the chairperson of Echo. You're
I'm not
supposed to
the
sell
chair,
Echo.
please.
Deputy
Don't-
chair.
Yeah, don't remove the chair.
Hey, you're scared, ne?
No. Don't remove the chair. He was elected in an AGM. So
That one is my friend. He'll understand. That's
Yeah.
the slip of a tongue.
But it's beautiful. Look, I won't lie. And of course, the growth prospects of Echo from 2006 to where it is today. We started as the youngest organization because there were many others that were formed before. So we have to learn how to run a CMO, how to run a trade organization, and of course, how to adapt to international standards, but also at the same time making sure that you continue to grow your membership base, you continue to attract potential sponsors for the development of the indie space. And of course, it's not easy. In today's age, we are facing digital, which is one of the biggest challenges that we trying to work around how can we make sure that our members continue to benefit from their work. So as a trade organization, I think we're doing great in terms of advocacy, and we are doing good in terms of fundraising for change insofar as opening up platforms is concerned. And that's what we want to focus on. The opportunities such as the Proudly South African Music Month is just for us to create more platforms, because we've realized that our legends are no longer working, not because they are not having great music, but because these days net loud, people want what's hip and happening, you know. So we felt that let us curate a platform that will recognize that we have a history, and that will recognize our present and be able to, on annual basis, have a celebration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was beautiful being with you, but before you go, I'm just going to have a fun moment inyana with you,
Yes.
you know. If you could listen to only one artist for the rest of your life, who would it be? One for the rest of your life.
Show me.
Ah, this one. What's the craziest thing you have ever seen at a music festival?
It's people having fun, embracing performances, singing along to lyrics line by line like they are the performing artist.
Wow. Which artist, alive or dead, would you love to collaborate with?
Zola.
Nice. So we must make that happen. Heavy featuring Zola.
No, I'm way past doing music. There's something bigger that I think me and him must do.
Okay, good. What's your favorite guilty pleasure song that people wouldn't expect you to like?
There's a song by Shantemo that says, "I'm not perfect, but I'm this well to learn." That's my favorite guilty song.
Wow.
It talks about my closeness and proximity to God.
Nice. If you had to swap jobs with a famous South African artist for one day, who would it be and why?
If I had to swap jobs
Yeah, for a day.
with a famous South African artist
Yes.
for a day, Casper.
Casper Nyovest.
Yeah.
This one you must answer quick, ne?
Yeah.
Quick. Right?
Sure.
Are you ready? Quick. Vinyl or digital?
Vinyl.
Kwaito or Amapiano?
Both.
Kwaito or Amapiano?
Both.
Kwaito or Amapiano?
I'm up here.
Joburg or Durban nightlife?
Joburg at any time.
One word to describe the South African music industry.
In trouble.
Say it again.
In trouble.
Wow. 2 words. What's the best concert you have ever attended?
Moshito.
I love it. Just like I said, Moshito is always number one. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Lwandlunkulu.
Nice. If you could have dinner with 3 music legends, dead or alive, who would they be?
3 music legends.
Yeah.
Mduma Silela. Ashley Mhlophe. Sipho Makhabane.
You don't leave Brasipo behind, eh?
No, he made me.
You've been in the industry for so long. Do you ever get tired of music, or is it still exciting for you?
It's exciting every day.
What's the biggest misconception people have about you?
Is that I appear arrogant. Of course, there's always this, I think it's a misplacement of character based on rumors. I'm the greatest person to get to know. Only those who know me understands me better.
If you weren't in the music industry, what would you be doing right now?
I'll be one of the best designers for cars and properties.
What did you study, by the way?
Information technology. I majored in system analysis and design and programming, and then did graphics as an additional course. I'm also an overachiever in marketing and branding. Apart from that, I also majored in business communication.
Degrees?
None.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
I produce records.
Do you still produce?
Yes.
Wow, nice. Have you ever had a star-struck moment meeting someone you admired?
Yeah, it's the first time I met someone who admired me more than I admired them, and they were my star.
Who's that?
PJ Powers.
Wow. So she admires you.
Yeah.
Nice. What's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
That never take rumors into your head. They will affect how you think and approach things. Always let the truth speak for itself. And if you have nothing to hide, time will absolve you.
What's next for you personally? Any plans outside the music industry?
I've always had a target of developing a brand new talent every year, and I've done so for the past 3 years. Every year I want to produce a new talent, and let that be my major. When I say produce, not just end up as a product, but becoming someone who's globally known.
But is that only in the music industry?
I
would love to have something outside the music industry.
Outside the music industry, I've got many ventures that I'm invested in. I work 16 hours a day, 8 hours for the music industry, 8 hours for my personal companies.
Wow.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen. That was interesting from Stanley Khoza. I tried my best to find out about Echo. I'm hoping that he comes around next time to talk about Echo. You can see that the man is passionate about Moshito, and I'm waiting to see what he's going to say when we have the next interview. And next time he comes here, we're going to have Heavy on stage, and that should happen soon. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you. Thank you.
I promise a performance, of course. And thank you so much for having me. Echo made me what I am today. And of course, I wouldn't be at Moshito without Echo. And I wouldn't have seen all the things that I've seen contributed to the change and growth and development of the South African music industry. And I appreciate the level of competition that is in the industry. And yeah, let's continue to play fair, challenge each other, and advance the cause, which is developing our industry for the better.